40 minutes after the hour now, the push to end the Russia-Ukraine conflict is facing a few roadblocks, let's be honest about it. And that's, of course, even after the high-stakes meeting with foreign leaders at the White House here in Washington. President Trump says he told Vladimir Putin he's not happy with the continued strikes in the region, including one that hit a U.S. factory in Ukraine. And now he's trying to work on it, but hopes of a Zelensky-Putin get-together appear to be unraveling. Is that so, and where do we go from here? Retired Army Lieutenant Colonel Darin Gaub joins us with reaction. And look, I have to say, Colonel, it seems to me like Vladimir Putin understands this very well. He has no incentive to do anything unless and until he faces extreme pressure from the United States, perhaps even alone. Am I wrong?
Hey, yeah, good morning, Kevin. Unfortunately, in this case, you are right. Putin does not have the incentive, the desire, the need necessarily right now to stop what he's doing, because he's continuing to advance in the east and capture some land, which is ultimately what he wants, is to create that space between Russia and the Russian-speaking regions of eastern Ukraine. So the longer this goes on, the longer he can continue offensive operations, take space, take land, and hopefully influence what comes in the end here. At some point, he will have to come to the table, I think. But right now, he doesn't appear to be in a hurry, and he doesn't need to be in a hurry.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. And listen, I understand this is a guy who has designs on the reestablishment of the old USSR. He longs for the days of Brezhnev and who knows, Khrushchev for all I care. It doesn't seem like he wants to play ball. And yet there is growing pressure. I think having the foreign leaders come here to Washington may have been a turning point. Did you make much of that meeting and where we might go from here?
Yeah, and I guess I would highlight both meetings. The Alaska meeting followed by the Washington, D.C. meeting both felt like there was some momentum gathering towards a potential meeting between Putin and Zelensky. Now, I'm not going to say what is occurring now necessarily means that's off the table. Talk to me again in about 2 weeks, and then maybe that calculation will change. But right now, it seems like things are dragging out a little bit longer than most of us would have preferred. Putin's okay with that. China's okay with that. Zelensky's the one put in the greatest risk, and the European nations clearly, they'd like to see peace, hopefully. But I guess we'll see how that goes. But unfortunately, this next meeting seems to be taking a while to organize.
Yeah, listen, this is a real meat grinder. I don't think a lot of people understand. It's not just a few thousand people over the span of several months. We're talking about thousands at a clip that's unsustainable, not just for the Ukrainians, but also for the Russians. I'm just curious about building pressure within, and yet you never hear about that. We can discuss that all day long, but I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about this. As you know, the president promised this week that he would provide so-called security guarantees for Ukraine, and now Russia is indicating that any such guarantees would apparently require cooperation from Moscow. So I guess the long and short of it is, will they ever get to an agreement on this?
Well, it's no surprise, but I think the agreement would have to come if there were some other nation's forces who would provide any kind of peacekeeping in Ukraine. It's from the beginning. We've always known Putin would never accept NATO forces in Ukraine. And if someone's putting that on the table, frankly, I think it's what we call a throwaway position. You know it's going to get knocked down, but you're going to throw it on the table anyways just to see what happens. That's, I think, something more likely than using any kind of European nation, any NATO nation specifically, inside Ukraine. Russia won't accept it. And frankly, Trump is right that U.S. boots on the ground in Ukraine is not necessary. There are ways to support security in Ukraine from maybe no-fly zones and things like that. But there is no need for American forces to be on the ground in Ukraine at this point or ever. So I guess that remains to be seen. Will there be a nation that steps up, like in India? I mean, I'm just throwing things out there, but another nation, non-NATO, willing to help secure that peace if a deal is reached.
And I think you're right about that. And I think it's also incumbent upon Russia's trading partners to apply pressure as well. You mentioned India, I think China as well, North Korea, unless and until they collectively say, all right, we've sort of run its course here. Again, I just don't see any short-term solution to what's been happening. We can all certainly hope for the very best. Colonel Gaub, thank you for your time today. We appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
You too. Thanks, Kevin.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.